Hi, and welcome to DestroyerAlive number 80. We're getting old. This time the intro's just gonna be really short because we have an amazing guest today, and it will be the first of two episodes, at least two episodes. So the man, the myth, the legend, Nico from Strike, and we will let him tell his own name afterwards because we can't pronounce it.
No. But it's Nico from.
You can try.
Ciccarone.
Yeah.
Ciccarone.
Yeah. Okay. But Nico from Strike and Kiss Army International. Here we go. Then we will want to welcome Nicola Ciccarone. Yeah. Pronounce it yourself.
Nicola Ciccarone.
Yeah.
Ciccarone.
Ciccarone.
Or as or as everybody else knows him, Nico.
Yeah.
Good enough. Short and sweet.
The Strike Nico.
Yeah.
Strike Nico, Kiss Army International Nico, a Kiss fan club legend Nico.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to have you with us here.
Thank you for everything.
Just going from being a normal fan to be a legend is just you do one thing every day, one day after the other, and all of a sudden you become something. But there was no goal. There was just an everyday joy of dealing with Kiss things. And so day by day, then that's what happens. If you start walking, after 10 years, you go back and you did 100,000 miles, and you go, "Oh, I just started walking."
So how did everything start with you? When did you discover the band?
Okay, but the band, it's even earlier than the fan club.
Yeah.
But the band was basically strange enough. I wanted to pick up a girl in the class when I started the high school. And she had like Kiss things on the bag, and and as there was a friend of mine who was into Kiss a lot, and keep talking to me about them. Then I figured out I knew something about them, and so I could pick up a conversation with the girl. So that was the first thing, Then a little by little she started copying me tapes, which is what you're supposed to do, but. The first tapes, first thing I think was, after, of course, this is all after Dynasty. There was like, everybody was listening to it. There was videos on TV and, but listen like any other thing, but I wasn't into it. Then this girl copied me Alive, and I thought, that's a bit, I like the look, but it's a bit too tough. I mean, I like more softer rock.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's a bit too much from a Dynasty. But then I started to listen over and over, and after a very short period, I started enjoying it a lot. And then after that, I started getting every week a new album. At the time, my mother was giving me, let's say $3. It was 3,000 lira for the week pay for eating piece of pizza for. Breakfast in classroom, and I was saving those money, so at the end of the week I could get a used Kiss album. Cool. And so after a long time I got all of them, and it was great. That was a great period. I was starving, but
what year was this? 79, 80 or later?
Oh, that was 81.
81, okay.
81, I started the high school. And, and I started to, starting this adventure. And And yeah, so just little by little. First, I got the albums. Then I wanted more. I got every photos from every magazine. Started to get in more and more, and it was like a fever. And it was a complete addiction. I couldn't see any better thing to spend my time besides Kiss and spending any money, besides Kiss. So every time and every money I had was Kiss, and it was the time of my life. So doing that, as I say, that's when I started walking.
Yeah.
Wanting everything that I could see on Kiss, everything that had a Kiss logo, Kiss face, I would just buy anything it was. But at the time, there wasn't much to find in Rome. I mean, it was a rock city, not Detroit or New York. So it was just very little things to find around. So I started to put adverts, because once I bought everything was available in Rome, then I say, okay, where else I can get stuff? So I started putting advert in music magazines and start trading people in Italy first. Then with Kerrang, I started also dealing with the international friends. And then actually, even before dealing with international, I started seeing, I thought, if I start a Kiss fan club, they will, instead of me looking for Kiss fans to trade stuff, they will be looking for me. They will join, and then I will have a new friend to share stuff. So I can copy some concert. I can give some articles of some magazines that have double, because obviously you get everything. Even if you already have, you just keep buying because the doubles are always good for trading. So I said, let's do the fan club. So then I will be in touch with more people, and my collection will grow more. So the beginning was not even thinking of the big picture of going to see the band, meeting the band. It was just to get more Kiss stuff. It was just an easier way than just putting adverts and write people. So I said, let's do it. They will see fan club, they will join, and now we'll have more people to deal with. So that was the very beginning.
Yeah. And when was the first time you saw the band live? The first concert?
First time I saw the band live was Lausanne, 1st of November, 84.
84, okay.
Last tour. The year before, they organized a bus from Rome to go to Switzerland to see Kiss. But I was a little too young, and my parents said, I'm from 1967, so calculation. I was young, I was a teenager. And maybe not that young, but I was young to go outside Italy. And so my parents wouldn't let me in 83. And a friend of mine went there from Rome, and he brought back photos, because he also was a photographer, amateur, but he got some cool stuff, and he was telling me, and I was so jealous, and I was like, I can't believe I missed that. Next time, I don't care whatever they say, I will go. And actually I went. And it was 84, the first concert. Yeah. And there is where I actually officially started my fan club.
In 84, okay.
Because I said, there's going to be a lot of Kiss fans at the concert. So I made a flyer that I was announcing that there's a new fan club in Italy, because I thought that everybody from Milan and north of Italy would go to that concert in Switzerland. So then I said, what better way to get a lot of people? So I remember I was just, throwing flyers in mid-crowd during the show, trying to give as many as I could. It was just this much. It's like the 4x6 photos. It was like a photocopy cut in 4, and there was like a few things. So that was great, because at the show, a lot of people contacted me after that. And so then I started to get some members. Yeah. I mean, obviously, we're talking that to get the first 10 members, probably it lasted months, or, probably it was really, really going slowly at the beginning. But at least a few ones they joined at the beginning where the IR. So for me, it was good, because they were the one who were more into collecting and trading. And so I was, anything is better than nothing. So I was never being disappointed of things because the more the better. It didn't hurt if I only get 10 instead of getting nothing. So that's where I started, and so then from that I actually started a fan club with a friend of mine actually.
Okay.
In that period. Okay. Because my mom, I didn't want her to know that everything was kind of sneaky with my parents because they didn't understand me spending time, money on that. So then telling I'm going to start a fan club, then she would probably say, oh, you better study because instead of time on kids. And so I started a fan club by putting the address of a friend of mine that was helping with the fan club. And I would get all the mail there. And so I would go, probably once a week to see him and decide what to do. With this guy, things probably only lasted like 6 months. I can't remember exactly, but it was things like maximum 1 year because the first money that were coming in, the guy wanted to share the money and spend them. Okay. And I'm saying, look, we want to get the fan club bigger, so let's use this money to make a better magazine, to buy more things, to let's use them, not spend them. So the more he was going, the more he wanted to keep the money, and I wanted to invest in that. I said, okay, look, why don't we just go on each other, and and I'll go on my own. So then I do whatever I want to do. At that point, probably, I didn't care much more about my mother because she probably realized somehow that I'm spending a lot of time with kids. So then I just went on my own, and started to get the magazine always more professional. The beginning was really getting the photos from other magazines or other fan clubs. Yeah. One thing I did at the beginning, I joined all the other bigger fan clubs all the time. Firehouse magazine from Canada, the Kiss Explorer Army, LF from Japan, all the ones that were known, the Kiss Force Inc., the one of Kit Leroux, and that. And so all the ones, there were probably 5 or 6 around. No, not many more. I think there was Black Diamond, whatever. There was everything that every fanzine I knew that was around, I was just collecting. Because either I was getting photos from there that I could use in Strike, or I could get ideas on what to do, or use stories and things. There was no idea, nothing like I'm copying. It was more like trying to fill up the magazine with something to justify the idea of having a fan club. Yeah. So for the reason was still to get the merchandise and trade stuff. So I didn't care of making like a major magazine. It was enough just to put together one. And it was all really, very cheaply done.
When did you start to get members from outside Italy?
Well, the big jump in members was the Crazy Nights tour. Okay. Because from 84 till 88, those 4 years, I probably would have reached probably 100 members in 4 years. Okay. You gotta consider the magazine was fairly crappy, I must admit it. I just had, there was no intention to make a great magazine. It was just to make one. It was just good enough for me. I was a kid and, I was young. Maybe I wasn't that much of a kid. But for me, it was good enough. So I only got few. Plus, also, we got to consider Italy is not the country of the Kiss fans, No. It's the north, there's a bunch, but the rest of Italy, it's not that much. So when I did the Crazy Nights tour, that all started rolling really fast. Because, of course, even there, I started bringing flyers, and the magazine at the time was pretty good. I mean, the one with Ace on cover printed, and you got one to show everybody. Yeah, you see, that one was from of course, from the London Ace Rally Tour '88 tour, just one concert, and that had a pretty good quality. All the photos were original because I took them, and that was my first time that I took photos live. So that was not too bad, considering. If I look at them now that I'm a professional photographer, I say, to start was not bad. And so the magazine started to be interesting because the story was original. I was there, I reported everything, I took photos. So all the photos there, like they were not printed anywhere else. So that could be a good magazine to introduce myself. And that's why then for the Crazy Nights tour, I got a lot of members. I mean, a lot still. We're not talking hundreds or thousands. But, quite a big jump. I mean, I spent 4 years to get 100. Maybe I reach 300 in the next year. So I doubled up what I did in 4 years. So it's a big jump for me.
Yeah.
And there also it was great because I was getting all the biggest Kiss fans in Europe. Yeah. I mean, because now already was years that I know already all the ones in Italy. With the Crazy Nights tour, it was great because I got all the great Kiss fans in Europe, and so I could start trading and getting my collection really interesting at the time, and I was very, very happy. Plus, obviously, I only saw one concert for Animalize. I had to wait 4 years for another concert. So then at that point, I did the whole tour. I think I only skipped a couple of shows. I think I see 18 out of 21 maybe. I remember I skipped Helsinki, just a couple, 2 or 3. But Donington I missed because it was just one concert, spared there. I had to go just for that one. I mean, I didn't, I did it very smartly. I only bought the Interrail. It was called Interrail. It was an Europass for train. Yeah. You just pay like 300. I talk in dollars because people understand me better and much is you use. It was like $350 for using the train in Europe for the whole month. Yeah. So I said, I get that one. Likely the tour was all concentrated in 1 month and not in 2 months. So with only one pass, I could get the whole month traveling. And I will also, brought Kiss that I had the fan club, and at that time they already heard about me. Yeah. And so I said, I'm going to be following the whole tour. So can you help me with tickets or passes? I was hoping, but I didn't know how it was working, all this stuff. So I was just hoping to get tickets so I didn't have to pay. And the idea of meeting the band was still like more like a dream, as if they let me, like just somebody who does a fan club in Italy, in backstage and doing all those things. So, but I asked, and when I saw the manager told me, "Oh, Nico, you will have 2 passes and 2 tickets for every show," and I was like, "Oh." Never mind. Not the laminate. Still the stick on, the one that the after show or the pre-show, the after show that they let you in once the band is out, all those things that you don't really do much. But, the idea already, not having to spend a lot of money to follow the whole tour at the time was really welcome. And plus they also let me take photos of some shows. Mm-hmm. And besides the one they let me, all the others, I just took them anyway from the crowd. So that was an amazing tour. I mean, after that tour, I just 18 shows. I couldn't believe it. Like almost every night, I could see the band. I was always at the hotel lobby when there was no show, just to try and see them, even for just a second of coming in, coming out. I kept my distance because, I didn't want to disturb them. Yeah. As if that I loving the band so much, as if I was the one who was going to bother them. That was the last thing in my mind. So then, but I made sure that they always notice me. So then I thought, the idea is they're going to see that I'm there. If they want to talk, I'm sure they'll know that I would like to talk to them, so they don't have to ask. They just have to come. So I always made myself visible and on a right distance, not to bother. Because then also we showed them the respect that I could also come and jump at them and surround them with piles of things to get autograph, like a lot of other people was doing. And so I thought they know that I obviously would like to do that, but not doing that, it means that I can get their respect, knowing that, I'm there, I'm discreet, I don't bother. If they let me, I'll do it. If not, I don't. So in that situation, I really, didn't want, the last thing you want is that your idol tells you, oh, you're bothering me. Oh, no, don't be too pushy, So, I was always keeping very much distance. And so I was very respectful with the band. And, but maybe on the other end, at the shows, I was just doing everything. I didn't care what's possible, what's not possible, just trying to do as much as I could. So trying to take photos, video, because there was not much stuff coming in Europe at the time for video stuff.
Oh, no.
And I, as I said, European Animalized, there was no video that tour.
Oh.
And I'm thinking, this is not going to happen. On this tour, I'm going to be taking care of this because it's a pity that there is nothing that you could go back and see how was the show of that tour. So then I kind of made myself a rule where one show I could watch, enjoy it. Another show I would take photos full time, and another show I would video it. Of course, when you video it, it's the worst thing because you just got to make sure that the picture is nice in the screen, that you're not moving, you're not shaking, and the last thing you watch is the show. But, I like to do it as, be able to bring back some documentation of the tour, and obviously to sell the bootlegs.
Sure.
I'm not saying all this stuff. It's all part of collecting as much money possible to invest them again to make the fan club bigger as possible. So it was never to go and spend them. It was always to collect money, save money, use the money the best way, not because I'm a money. It's just because I thought the money was the easy way to get bigger, to get more merchandise. Money is a mean. Even now, for everything else, people sometimes think money. Money is nothing. It's what you want to have. You need the money for that. So I was always making sure to use them wisely. So,
what member did you find most approachable during the tour? At the first, most approachable, the ones who was easy to talk to.
People.
Yeah, member of Kiss in '88?
Oh, okay. Well, Eric.
Yeah.
And Eric and Gene were. Gene was also my idol. Always been my top member.
Yeah, same here.
For personal, I used to like horror movie. I don't like them anymore, but I used to, and I like the character. It was. So I like Gene the most anyway, and Gene likely was smart enough to willing to talk to every fan all the time to know his clients.
Yeah.
But hey, let's also not say too much that they money as well, because it's in the same way that I did. I'm sure they care a lot about money because they know that with money they can do great things. So they were smart to know their fans, so they could provide the best concert, the best merchandising, so they could get more money, so they can also do greater things.
Yeah.
So money is always a tricky thing. It's a tricky word. But the key is that if you get money, you can make your dream come true. And so if you care about money, it's not just it's just that you care about your dreams. You care so much, and you want to make sure that everything you do, the time is the same as the money. I mean, if you use your time wisely and your money wisely, you get to have the faster way to the dream you want to reach. So Gene was smart enough to come down and every time and getting to know people, what they collect, what they like, what they don't like. So Gene was more into spending a lot of time with the fans because he wanted to get a lot of information. I'm sure he was also happy to have people who think of him, as a god, and be there like, hey, see, I can spend some time with you, and I'll make your dream come true. So that is probably part as well. Eric instead was very genuinely friendly. Yeah. He didn't care of getting to know you, so then he could do something or something else or improve. He just wanted to spend time with the fans. Yeah. And he really enjoyed the fact that he had the fans, so people who admire him, and so he was the time he was spending the best was with fans. And I remember him going in the lobby and see maybe 3-4 groups of Kiss fans, and be nice enough to share the time with all of them. Sometimes he was talking with me and our friends, and I was saying, sorry, I have to stop. I have to go to the other guys because otherwise they feel like, they're not taken care of. Yeah. Or, and that was very caring from him. And so Gene and Eric were the ones that were always coming down in the lobby, most times. And Bruce liked to spend time on his own in his room most times, so he would come down once in a while, but he preferred to stay doing his things. I don't know, maybe playing, maybe I don't know, talking with girlfriend, whatever. But he didn't really care, because he didn't care of getting information on how to sell more merchandise or do other things. And he probably, didn't really care much of being, you're God, being admired that way. So it's a bit more, but it's not that he wasn't caring. It's just the way he is. Just, I like things or not. It's not that you're bad or good either way. And Paul was a bit disappointing. I must admit. I was hoping that he would come, more often and spend more time. And at the time, sorry, I turn down the volume of the phone. At the time, I thought he wasn't nice, to be honest. I always saw him like when fans was outside the hotel, going like, "Oh, wait a second, I'll come in a minute and I will sign everything," or "Let me go shopping, but I will come back and I will make sure." He was just lying all the time, and you see, get a back entrance and stuff. So at least I'll say, don't even say this, just go instead of telling lies. So I never liked that. No. But after I read his book, which means many, many years after, I realized now why it all was like that. And I feel bad that that I didn't consider him nice as the other guys, because he went through his problems in life, and I in my mind I apologize with him. It's like, all these years I thought he was a nice guy with the fans, and instead, unfortunately, he had this past to deal with, and so I feel very bad of all the all the way I considered it. But also Paul was weird, because sometimes he was super friendly, sometimes it was on his own, and so I couldn't make an idea on him. Sometimes it was amazing. I was like, oh. Sometimes I thought the other way. Then I realized that he was very friendly with people he was more in touch with. Yeah. So people was around him. He was very open and friendly. And people he didn't know, he was like putting a wall between. And so, and then on the other hand, even then I thought, everybody's got a different character. Everybody's got a different way of interacting with people. So, even if I wish that it was more friendly with just anybody, that was just my way, I might have been more the Eric Carr way, more genuinely, happy to see people. But, it was okay. I mean, and obviously when you see Paul and Jean, no matter what, they are the original band members, and it was like even one glimpse, 1 second, one moment, you just forget everything about it. You just go like your eyes gets bigger and you're all excited. And
I know the feeling.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
We're all in the same boat here, and so you tend to forget, to forgive and forget all the bad things. You just keep the good stuff. Yeah. And and plus, sometimes when you get somebody like Paul, that it's harder to get. Then when you get like 10 seconds with him, that was worth it more than an hour with Jim, for example, because it's like, so one way or another, it was different, the approach, but
Yeah, 88 must have been a real magical year for you, because you saw Ace also.
Yeah. That was so special, because after many years of the fan club from '84, so working 15 hours a day, 7 days a week, that's what I was doing, because when I was studying now, I was spending some time on the books. But I didn't pass a couple of times at school because of Kiss, because I spent more time reading Kiss stuff than the school stuff. So once I got into Kiss, school was like, whenever I got some spare time, quickly learning things to repeat in school. But when I finished school, that was like full time, 7 days a week, 15 hours a day. I would just stop when my eyes would get closed, and every time I would wake up, I would like, yes, I'm awake, let's go, let's start again. So life was like that since I finished school. And 88 was magic, because after so many years of working and always getting news from other people, I could be there myself and meeting them for the first time. That was like magic. And so it was all good. The day was all. It was like I had to meet my idols, not just meet them as can you sign this, but meet them in a way that they already knew me. Yeah. And sometimes, you're Nico, and like, they already know about me. And so getting to meet them in a special way, not just meeting them.
Yeah.
And even Ace, there was just one concert. I spent 1 week in London, and I would go to the sign session, and I would go to the hotel. I also stayed in a room where a guy from Kerrang was interviewing the band. Actually, it wasn't. The guy was a photographer for Kerrang as well, but he was also an Italian and was writing for a magazine in Italy. Yeah. So then, through my contacts in Italy, I was able to be in the same room where Ace was giving the interview, and I was like, it was just, I couldn't believe myself. And so that week was amazing, and the fact that it was so special. I met him everywhere he went, so every time he would turn around, he would see me somewhere, anywhere. And so then at the album next, he even put me on the special thanks of the album. Cool. And I was like, the special thanks, I can't believe.
I I was trading video with you or buying a video, and I remember the filming with Ace Frehley. The film from I don't remember if it was outside a car or something like that. You were a big fanboy, Italy boy with not perfect English, and it was so magic moment when you're filming all the meeting with Ace.
Exactly. For me, it was like it was dreamland.
Yeah.
And even now my eyes are watering because just bringing back those.
And,
It was amazing.
and we can also see a short clip of you in the filming, and I think in the first song, "Rip It Out" from Hammersmith.
Rip it out, exactly. Yeah, I was just everywhere. I mean, I had tickets from him, but as he didn't give me passes because I just made him there. I saw somebody selling front row ticket outside, and I was like, I'm getting them. I don't care. I already have ticket. I don't care. I want the front row. So I was front row because I bought the tickets from the show front row. Yeah. And I was able to take some great shots. And he also saw me there. Then I had a big flag that I did. Italian fans loves Fredriksson, and I threw that one, and they opened up on stage. It was really big, and it was like that only concert was for me like a mini. So and that was Ace. A few months. It was Kiss, and it wasn't one show. It was 18 shows. Yeah. So, and even there as well, it was the first time I met the band. The first meeting with Gene was super magic. Yeah. Like I remember vividly in the lobby of the hotel in Würzburg. We heard they were there. We arrived with the car, and they were already in the lobby. I ran inside. And my friends that they were already there, they knew me from Italy. They arrived just before me. As soon as they saw me, they opened up like the Red Sea, and I started slowing down, walking like step by step towards Gina. I said, "Oh, this is a big moment," and I just couldn't stop staring at him and him at me. We just kept contact with the eyes. I gave his hand and and we stayed there, like looking at each other, not saying anything. Oh, he said, "Oh, you are Nicola Ciccarone." He said the wrong way, but obviously. And we stayed with the handshake like this, and I was like, okay, when is he gonna let my hand go? I'm not gonna be the one. And when it's moved the eyes away, and we stayed there for like I don't know, it felt forever. Probably was like 20 seconds, but it was way longer than a normal handshake. And I was like hypnotized, and it was like it was magical. And then I met the other, obviously the less important way of meeting. But that tour was amazing because I could meet all the Kiss fans. You guys probably were in the fair of the fan club, and I
met you in Gothenburg, and you were so happy that you see ice outside the arena. It was the machine. I'm in Sweden and I want to see snow and
the extra bonus. I love traveling, and extra bonus was visiting so many countries.
Yes,
trying different foods, different habits of getting dressed, living. I love to see all different cultures and stuff, and that was just the bonus, but it was amazing. I mean, really, that year was not probably. There's no way that I could ever compete with another year better than that one. No. There will not be. I know for sure, because there cannot possibly be a better year than that one in the future. I can live 1,000 years more. It's never going to be a better year than that one.
Yeah.
And it was.
But if you say your three best European concert of the tour.
I remember with lots of pleasure the Newcastle show There is a video that where the people coming up on stage. That one I was allowed to shoot the whole show, and that was great. I was only allowed a couple of shows. I was allowed to shoot the whole show from the band, so I was just in the pit, and I was thinking like, should I go up or should I take photos of this special that it never happened before? I never saw fans going on stage invited by Kiss. I was like, oh, I gotta take photos of this. It's amazing. And I was like, no, but I want to go up with them. And I remember I was like, I go or I shoot. I go or I shoot. At the end, I didn't go, and I regret the rest of my life. But I felt like maybe it's too much if I, sometimes, whatever. That one was one of the great shows. Besides that moment, that is definitely was one cherry on the cake. But also the venue was good. It was like a theater, an old theater, and I remember there was the seats were like on an angle on a way down, so you could see the stage really low, and it was really cool. That's where I took the photo of Eric on the cover of that strike that you probably that's right. That's Newcastle.
and you know what? I have that outfit in my collection.
Okay, and I was going to give you the photo. I don't know if I ever already did.
You never did.
It's still all boxed up, but one day you'll get it.
Yeah, thank you.
That's Newcastle. And so the show was very special for me. Another one that was really, really special was Belfast. And once again, I was shooting the whole show. The great thing of the show is I was in the pit. And a strange habit that they had at that concert venue, or that city probably, is that when they enjoy a band, they spit at the band. That's what they told me. I don't know. But and so they started spitting at the band.
And on you.
I was in crossfire. But I said, whatever, I can shower late. And the funny thing is that at the beginning, the band was a bit upset because they thought it was insulting. But then I remember that they started to say, okay, that's the game you want to play, let's play. And so they started spitting back at the people. So it was like a spit fight. And it was so weird. And all these, seeing all these change of moods and stuff. I remember Paul going through the crowd, going like, open, move, and getting the one who was spinning him. And I was like, pooh. And at that show, also, there's another memory that it's. I got my first and only guitar body because I was in the photos, and then when he brought the guitar, I was just under, and I was just. I looked at Paul and I was like, give it to me. And I remember him like thinking about it. It was like he looked at me, he looked at the crowd, and it's like, I give it to you, or as I do every night, I give it to the crowd. Then all of a sudden he threw it to me, and I was like, yes. As I grabbed the body, then I felt hands grabbing me from behind. So then, they were trying to drag me and take the guitar off me, and I put all my weight to just go on the front. Rip whatever you want to rip. You don't get the guitar. I got the guitar. I was able to, just sneak away. I went from underneath the stage. I couldn't just walk on the side because every side I was going, there were hands trying to get me. So just kneel under the stage and crawled up, and then I put it in my sweater so then nobody could see, because I thought if they see it outside, they might steal it again. Yeah. I didn't know at the time that's what in my sweater because I was afraid that somebody would steal it from me, and I was like, to my friends I was going like, oh, look what I got here, look, try, and I did again, and as I said, I didn't know that later on I had a lot of stories of bad people beating up girls or little boys and steal their guitars or drumsticks and stuff, and that's terrible. At the time, I didn't know there was this thing happening. I thought it was all nice people around the world. But after I felt the hands trying to grab me from the front row, I said, I better chance it that I might see somebody else not nice. So I hide the guitar. So Belfast was the second one on my favorite show because of all this special atmosphere. Also, Belfast was amazing with the military forces. You go through an area of the city and there was military coming on the bus checking with guns. It was weird. The barbed wire everywhere, barricades. I was like, oh, strange. It looked like a war zone. But the people was amazing. People was very nice. It's just the atmosphere was war atmosphere. The third show, hey,
difficult.
maybe Modena, maybe the one on my city, maybe, but I'm not even sure. I mean, I did a lot of things there. I had a meet and greet with the members of the fan club outside the hotel. I made a banner that was bigger than the stage. It was huge. You had to hold it up with 3-4 meters poles up. It was a huge thing. I said I'm gonna be able to see it from the other side of the crowd. I will be on one side, the crowd in the middle, and the stage on the other side. And then I made. The funny thing is that I also made the confetti. The confetti they didn't have in the Crazy Nights tour.
Yeah.
And there was a friend of mine who was in the special effects of the movies, and I said, "Can I do something that?" And he suggested me to do the snow, the fake snow. I said, okay, it will work. You see the snow coming during the show. It'll be like a confetti thing. So I bought those candles that you could lit up and started putting foam or whatever it was. And so during Rock and Roll All Night, I lit up those things. I was at the.
I remember that. In the first minute of the Rock and Roll Night, in every shows.
That was strange because I remember that at the show I was more like to be part of the show, trying to organize things. Okay, let's get the banner up. Let's do I had 3 guys filming with cameras because I was busy. So I put one camera, I gave my camera to a friend. So I had different angles. Okay, you do this, you do that. It was like organized. I wasn't there just to enjoy the show. It was more like to make the most of the show that was in my country. And I remember the bruise after that. So, Nico, so you were the one that there was smoke coming on stage. I couldn't breathe. I was choking because the snow was making smoke as well.
Yeah.
And with the wind was going on stage and they couldn't breathe. Say, well, I thought it was a nice thing to do. Oh, you almost choked me. Okay. So I mean, the Swedish concerts were nice too. I remember, not because you're in Norway, Sweden, but I remember Gothenburg especially because of the snow, because, I also so there were friends that I met at Israel in London.
Yeah.
There was Nicholas, I guess, Richard, Johan Falk, John Johansson.
Yeah.
And so then I saw them again after months, and it was good to see. I mean, I go to Sweden the first time. I have friends.
Yeah, perfect.
I mean, there was somebody I knew here and there through collecting, but it was but people that I met face to face in London, and I saw them again. It was special, and Gothenburg show definitely more than
That was
What happened with the Stockholm concert? You no filming from the concert in Stockholm?
I didn't film. I don't think I filmed Stockholm. No. I think I filmed Copenhagen, Paris.
Yeah.
So for the ones who wants to know.
Yeah.
It's me.
Yeah. We know.
Copenhagen was great, but I had a crappy microphone. So
it was a small arena. It was my first outside Sweden. My first concert.
Crappy sound. The best time were Sony for music, but I didn't know. I bought a Philips. I thought it was cheaper and better. It was just cheaper.
But
I took the audio on top of that after.
how many more did you get? A lot of more members during that tour to the fan club?
Yeah, that tour was amazing. That tour, as I said, I reached, I think, 300 at the end of the tour.
Yeah.
I started the tour with like 100, and I finished the tour. I had like 300 people in total. So that was great. In fact, after that, I started to do the magazine with color cover. I mean, at the time, printing, and that was the one, you know, Strike 17, and then I did 18 after that. Going from, I mean, so a biggest step is to go from photocopy to print.
Yeah.
Because photocopy, I get 2 more members, I got to do 2 more photocopies. There's no investment. It's just you print as you get the member.
Yeah.
Printing means that you have to put the money up front and hoping that you get the money back. And so going from photocopies to print was a big step. But the color was over expensive, and in fact there was only the cover in color, which was only a photocopy size folded, and you know, and the fact that I was getting more allowed me to print in color. So that's what I'm saying. You know, the more money I was getting, the more I was trying to make Strike better. Getting more merchandise. At the time I started also starting to deal with some merchandise. I wasn't much around, but it was the beginning. And
during this time, you were also printing it in both Italian and in English. It's both Italian and English in the magazine.
Yes, but I started even before that.
Yeah, okay.
The first one that was printed in Italian and in English was number 14, the last one in photocopies.
Okay.
Crazy Nights 2 with a green paper cover, and because I started to get in touch with Dan Starr, you all know Dan Starr, and he started sending me original material, so photos that nobody else printed, stories from a report from the concert he would see. So then I thought, that's a good jump from just being a local Italian. And now I can start having things that if somebody wants them, have to just join the fan club to have them. If you want to see those photos, if you want to read those stories. So then I said, at this point, I must use both languages, because also in Italy, everybody who was a Kiss fan already joined. So there was not much more improvement to be done in Italy. So the next step was to just do it 2 languages, English and Italian. I mean, Italian because I was there for many years already doing it, and and nobody really speaks English in Italy. So if you don't do it in Italy, they wouldn't be able to read it. Unlike Sweden, that you could probably just do in English and everybody knows it anyway. In Italy, I had to, keep doing it in Italian. But then I say, once I got the English, everybody else in the world will be able to read it. So that was the first one. And then, so it was way before that I started doing already in English. That means already that I probably had the idea of trying to get bigger and bigger. Because probably as I went along and as I saw the other fan club, then I thought, maybe, there is a way that I could compete at this point, not just to trade merchandise, but I could actually make a good fan club.
Yeah.
And the idea was pretty much to get the best of all the fanzines that I could see. I remember there was something I would get from one, another thing from another. I would collect all the best things that I could see from every fanzine. I would collect everything for Strike. So Strike would be the best of, and plus at the beginning, and then I started putting my original. So it was the best of plus the original material. Sorry.
And at what point did you change the name from Kiss Army Rome to Kiss Army International?
Exactly. There was a point that I felt that if I wanted to get even more international, keeping the name that was very local Italian, even more Rome, not just Italian, Rome is very specific. I thought that if I advertise it's a fan club from Rome, sounds like the fan club for Rome, so why do I care of getting the fan club from that city so far away? So I say, if I make it international, then it will sound more big, something that doesn't belong to a specific area or country. And at the time, I think it was in the same exact time, I decided to have different directors of the fan club in every country, which basically bottom line was just to have somebody in each country that will know all the diehards in that country, that will know language better, will be easier to talk to them. I said, if I get more people trying to help me collect members, it will grow faster. And that's another great one. They might go out as well. So the idea is when I had friends that I could trust in different countries, I think I started with 4 or 5 that could help me. And then I decided that every single country would have their own address, because also it's always trying to improve in a way that I thought maybe somebody who's in Japan would not like to write to Italy, thinking, hey, by the time the letter gets to Italy and then I get an answer, instead if I write to Tokyo or whatever, Yokohama, that's where it was the city, then it feels closer. So then I'm more to write. Just write. So,
or Motala in Sweden. Rickard Johansson.
But after that,
today, one of my best friends, they came to visit once a while.
But you had to go into the army just after that, didn't you?
Sorry, I had to go.
No. Yeah, you had to go into the army just after '88.
Oh, yeah. To the actual military service. I think a kisser.
No.
No, that was in 1990, the Autinduscheto. The funny thing is that I joined the university. I signed up to university in 89 because I thought that wait a minute, because the thing is that I didn't want the tour to coincide with the military service. No. So I joined university, because when you join university, you don't do military service the year. But I miscalculated, and at the end, it considered the KISS tour, because probably they delayed the tour or something. They probably wanted to do in 89, and instead then they did it in 90. And at the end, I found myself doing the military service during the Autinduscheto tour. And but luckily enough, I was able to ask permission to go to see the band outside Italy, which is very hard to get that permission. But I was working in an office. I was doing all the office things, so I became friends with the captain, and so I was working also. I was the first one bringing the computers. Funny enough, the military service, they didn't have computers at the time. They only had typewriters. So then I said, okay, why don't we do a trade? I can bring the computer that I have at home, and we can use the computer, and so then I can actually have the permission to use the computer after the military hours. Because also with the typewriter, every day you have to write the same letters. Yeah. Something really stupid. I say, I bring the computer, I save a lot of time, because I memorize that page, and instead of typing it every day, I can memorize it and print it all the time. So then the captain saw it as a big, step into the future. First computer in the military place, and so they left me the key of the office. So then once the military hour was finished, I was able to go on the computer. So then I was able to write strike and do the keys things in the military office, and also this also allowed me to then be able to ask the captain for the permission to go to see the band in America, which was very hard to get as a permission. But he spoke with the general, and he spoke highly, and he said, "Oh, don't worry." And so they let me. Luckily, I was able to go 2 weeks, and I think I saw 7 shows, 10 shows. My memories, it's not that good. Go read in my strike how many shows I remember. It was 7 or 10 anyway. So that was another funny, the American tour was was the first time I went to see the States. And I had the very first time a bad experience. Or it was my second time. That's what I was gonna talk about. That night was special. That was the day after I got robbed. That was the night that
you got robbed.
Yeah, actually, I got broken into my motel when I was and they stole my laminate. That was the first tour I got the laminate, and they stole my video camera. They stole my photo camera, things that I didn't even pay full. I only paid the first monthly payment, and so I had to keep paying for another 2 years, and the video camera was gone. And but the band find out. Right away, because at the next show after I got somebody to get backstage because I didn't have the laminate to tell the story. So they sent Bruce. Actually, Bruce came out with the laminate. They said, "Oh, there is another laminate for you," and I went backstage. So Paul asked me, "Oh, so what happened to you?" And I explained the story. Somebody broke in and stole everything. They say, "Oh, how much they stole from you?" And I say, "Well, couple of $100. They stole the cameras, they stole the films that I shot so far." And I said, "Oh, well, I'm sorry to hear that, but you shouldn't sleep in those areas," because I was in Washington Bridge. That afterwards I found out it was a very bad area. It was just off Manhattan, but I didn't know. At the time, for me, cheaper was better. Always to use the money wisely. Instead of going 4-star hotels for 2 shows with the same money, I could see 10 shows. So, I mean, in England in '88, I ran out of money. I even slept 1 week in the train station.
Wow.
Because I had £1 per show left. So I would go to McDonald's, they get an hamburger, not even cheeseburger because it was too expensive. I would get an hamburger, and I would sleep at the train station with all the stuff that I had in my backpack around my arms because I already had drumstick and stuff like that. So there was, and I didn't care because I got the train tickets. It's paid with the Interrail pass. I got free tickets for the show. Well, what do I need money for? To eat? Well, I got £1 I can eat. And I stayed 1 week without having much to eat at all. and that was because at the other show, I left with not much money, but I left with a lot of strike magazines. Yeah. The one with Ace in the cover, because I thought I could sell these outside the show and I can finance the rest of the tour. And in fact, that's what had happened. Every show, I would go sell 5-10 copies of the magazine, and with those money, I could afford to pay an hostel, a youth hostel, and some cheap food. And it was working fine until England. In England, the promoter came and was like, "Oh, I saw you selling the magazine. You cannot sell magazine outside the concert." I was like, and now what do I do? That was the only way to get some money to eat and sleep. I said, okay, That's when I made the decision. Who cares? I'll see more shows. I can have better food and have better sleep at home. But in the meantime, I want to see the rest of the tour. So then, as I say, cheaper was, if cheaper and uncomfortable would mean more shows, that's good for me. Cheap and uncomfortable. And so yeah, but going cheap and uncomfortable in America, gave me this bad experience of being robbed. And when I was with Paul and I was telling the story, he was like, "Oh, okay. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. You got robbed." And the conversation ended. So you see, once again, Paul was super nice sometimes, and people now would tell the story was like, "Oh, I can't believe I heard this story. Paul Stanley did this to you." It's like because there was not his usual habit, but sometimes it was magic, was fantastic, phenomenal. And that time he left, and I kept talking to other people, and all of a sudden Paul came to me with something rolled in his hand, and he goes and he gets my hand and he puts it in my. You can see, but he puts the roll in my hand, and he goes like, "Nico, the band wants you to keep this." And I was like, I figured out it was giving me some money. I didn't know much, but I said, "No, well, don't worry. I'll find some way to survive." It's not the first time because I went to the Italian embassy to get some. But anyway, I said, "Don't worry. It's thank you. You're very caring, but it feels bad that you give me money." And it's like, no. We insist, you should keep those money. We want to make sure you're okay. And I was like, oh, fantastic. And those money was like, then I checked, it was $200. I thought, oh, wow, that's exactly the amount I told him. I could have said $1 million. No, anyway. No, the thing is that, of course, cash was $200, but he didn't know that the big loss was the camera and the video camera. That was a huge. But at least the good thing was that he figured out that if I had the cash, that was the money I could count to go on during the tour. Yeah. So then it was nice to just give me exactly what I got robbed. So that was fantastic. The thing is that I had this money. I was like, what am I going to do with this money? This is money from Paul. He touched me. And I'm like, got his fingerprints on. What can I do? And then at the end, I came up with an idea. I was like, because as I say, after the robbery, I went to the Italian embassy and they gave me probably $150 or something just to be able to go on. And so I didn't really need those money. But then I said, what can I do? I decided, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to buy the Kiss merchandise with those money. So because I went for my own collection, one of each. Every tour I went, I was like, everything that you see on the wall, one of each. Yeah. And so then with those money, I went to the merchandise stand and I just collected everything. So then I say, this merchandise was given me by the band in a way. So it was still relevant. Yeah, at the end, they always go back to them. But it was amazing the way he did that. I mean, really, really unexpected. I got to know the band by the time, and I got to hear stories of how they behave, what they do. That was totally never heard before. So I was so super happy. So from something bad, sometimes comes something good. And so the tour actually it was great. I met Fat Vinny Gonzalez on the tour. I went to his house, to his museum. At the time, he was the one with the original costumes in boxes and hanging from, and I just couldn't believe my eyes. It's like when I was there through Rickard Johansson. He was a friend of Vinny, and so he organized that. And every time I was going to different countries, it was great because I would get the people that I heard about, the great Kiss fan, the great collectors. Yeah. So the tour was much more than just going to see some shows. And so yeah, so the tour I remember really well because of that moment and meeting the American fans. Then after that I go back and I kept doing the military service, which in a way slowed me down one way or another because I couldn't work full time. But I just kept improving the magazine. I don't know exactly, how better it got, but probably merchandise. At the time, I started dealing more with merchandise. The magazine was already in a good enough level once I got to the States.
But Paul and Jean, did they like the Strike magazine around that time, or did they say something about the magazine? Or
I think the Strike around that time was already probably the best magazine they had.
Yeah.
And I don't know when it was the time where it was the best, but pretty sure. Looking wise with printed material was probably better already when Eric Carr cover was in, because there was Firehouse magazine, which I loved. No, the one with the costume that you have, that one already, because that was printed nicely. It was printed nicely and had a color cover. Every other fanzine had always a photocopy or black and white.
Yeah.
I think at the time I did that, and then maybe there was also the Kiss Destroyer Army started to do the Kiss the fan clubs with the color cover as well. But at point I did the jump because I said, okay, how can I be better than the other? Because always there's the male competition. My sword is bigger than yours. It's no. The thing is that I like to be the best also because why not? If you can be the best, so I will be second best. And if that only takes more work, well, then I can do it. And so when I had the Strike that was small, I saw that that if I would make it double the size like a normal magazine, then it will look like a real magazine, not a fan club magazine, and it will be the only Kiss fan club magazine with the color cover magazine size. Because LF was magazine size, but it wasn't with color cover. The actual print quality wasn't that good, and so I think that when I did Strike 19 with Paul on the cover and all the magazine open, this actual one, this time up.
Yeah, you sure? Yeah, that one.
Yeah. You already saw it before. But anyway, this was the first one that made Strike probably the best magazine around, at least in the look. I'm not saying I'm writing better than others. My article were more interesting. I was just more about the look. And definitely that was the best one. And,
how many copies did you print of that one? Do you remember?
I must have printed probably 500. Probably 500. Because I remember clearly that I printed like 300 of those black and white printed ones, the first ones printed. And then I went to 500. Because also, I got 300 members, so I printed more. Because also I was selling them through the shops. Because selling Strike, you could get through the membership and also through local heavy metal store. That were really the one that you find bootlegs and all. In every city, there are a couple of shops where you could find all the cool stuff, not regular shop. And so with the Kiss tour in '88, I also was going to those shops, so then I could show the magazine and make contact to be able to put them every time come a new issue, to put them in the shop. So So I'm pretty sure it was 500, but soon after it probably ended up. Because I remember a couple of hundred would go in a shops, no more than that.
No.
But not in a long time. I mean, the first 4 years were really slow, but the 4 years after '88, from '88 to '92. They was going a lot faster. I don't think it took a lot of time until I reached 1,000 copies printed.
Oh.
So members probably were growing after a big jump from 100 to 300 in 1 year. Probably they were growing 50, 100 every year. More than before. And then a big jump there was when on the Revenge Tour, when Gerald put out those special magazines. Because Gerald was one of my directors for Austria, and he decided he was more into money.
That one first, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was the first one, and that one brought me a lot of members because that was going out in news agents.
That's the second one.
That's the second one. Yeah, you're right. So, that's the third one, right?
Yeah.
And he did the first one as well. He had the one with the silver round, yes. Yeah. But anyway, Gerard was more into bigger things. I don't know. My way of doing things, it was more like without having the big picture. It was more like one step after the other, a little step after the other. So I was slowly but steadily improving. Gerard was more the one to do the big blast. And so he would, I will do a magazine, 100,000 copies. It will go in every news agents, and everybody will have a copy in the. He would think big. I must admit, congratulations. I mean, he was right. He was able to handle all that because it's not just you go to the printed 100,000 copies.
Was it you or Richard that did these ones?
No, I did those two.
Those two, yeah, okay.
Yeah, no, they got me in trouble. The first one got me in trouble with the band.
The first one.
Well, because
this one?
First time, because for the first time they saw that I was printing something that was a merchandise item and not a magazine. Yeah. So they were like, "Hey, now you're going on a direction that is not, what you should. This is merchandise." Plus, there was a Kiss logo, big Kiss logo in front. And because I didn't really think they would make him that upset, but they made sure I know that. Well, don't do it again, which then I probably did. But anyway, well, then I would say that the actual big jump from the Hot in the Shade was with the Revenge because of Gerard, because. From Out in the Shade, then I started doing all the local seats, I would call them, of the fan club, and I was getting a lot of members as well, more members because of that. Then Gerard came about with this idea of doing something really big, like the magazine distributed in news agents, and that was a huge amount. I mean, that time was when I reached the top number of members. I never reached more members than the year 92, 93. It was 2,200. That's the limit that the fan club got. And at the time, I was printing 4,500 copies of the magazine because also the magazine was going to a lot of shops. I remember there was like Tower Records in America. There was a big chain that would get me like 600 copies of Strike. There was like some big distributors that was buying them. So I remember I was printing around 4,500, something like that. And some would go to shops and not sell and just leave them there. But I think I would probably end up really selling that people buy around 4,000 copies. That was
good.
a good number, which which was good enough. I mean, it was, and Gerard also, was dreaming big, and after the books, also did the convention to repeat race Vinny. So Gerard always dreamed big. And when Key Story came out, the book, he flew to LA and he bought like 100 of those books. They were expensive. But he believed in investing a lot of money and doing big things and getting a lot of. So it always went well with him. And money-wise, in Europe, he's probably the one who made more money than anybody else on Kiss. But he was also the one who had the balls to risk all those money and to organize these big events. I mean, a convention too was connecting all the clubs, all the dealers, organize a bus for everybody. It was a huge thing. I mean, probably I wasn't be able, because I was already too busy dealing with the membership, with Pride magazine, with merchandise. He was free because he didn't have to do all those things. He only had to collect members. So then he had free time. But he definitely used it the best because he did some amazing things. Very, very good. And
let's go back to 1991. Sorry for interrupt you, but in 1991, Eric Carr passed away, and I think we should talk a little bit about that. How do you remember that whole thing? Can you tell us?
Well, unfortunately, I wasn't in touch with Eric in a person. I didn't have his phone number, and I didn't. I was in a position where I could just write letters to Eric to his address. I was always kept as a fan, not like somebody who worked for them.
No.
So the news that I would get from Eric, it was through friends who were living in New York, who would update me here and there on what was going on, but not too much direct. And probably I think what Paul said was also something that I shared in a way that I heard Paul, in the book, that he was like, we didn't really pay too much attention to those things because it's like, you see, you get the medicine, you go to the hospital, and you get better. You cannot die. It's like, especially thinking of your gods, they just cannot die. So, I mean, it's serious disease people could die from, but you always keep the hope that, somebody died, but not everybody, and definitely he's going to be the one that is not going to die. So, little by little, when I got the news, plus there was a time. In fact, there's a funny thing. That's the magazine that Eric Singer always jokes on me for this magazine, which is by the time I wrote a magazine. When you write strike, it's not like internet. You have to write it. You have to do the graphic. You do the printer. By the time it comes out, it passes sometimes a month, and there was rumors that it was going to get better. That it was improving. That everything was behind his back. That it was all fine, and I wrote this. Unfortunately, you could probably read this. Eric, finally okay.
Exactly.
And unfortunately, by the time the magazine goes out, he was dead. And and it's like, Eric said, that was good timing, When I got the magazine, it's like, finally okay, and he's dead. So basically, also to say that I wasn't updated on that well. and every month, every second month, I would get some news. How is it doing? And but as I said, because of this, that means also that all the news that were came out, that seems that he was recovering.
Yeah.
And it wasn't just hope. I mean, there was a time that he was getting better, that he started the medication, we started working, and he was improving. So then at the end, when you hear this, you don't even ask them much more. I mean, just know, okay, the storm is gone. It's just a matter of time that he gets back in shape. And so when I heard the news, it was a big shock for me. I remember I was crying like a kid. I lost my grandma like a few months before, and I didn't die much. I didn't cry much or nothing at all. And I said, I said that I felt myself like, is that normal that I'm crying like a kid? It was probably the first time that I cried for somebody who's dying, because I was young, nobody else died around me by then. And I remember I had to lock myself into, a closet almost to not to show my parents and stuff. I was really devastated. Because also I got to meet him in a different level than normal fans. He used to call me my Italian cousin, and he used to tell me things about the Italian family that he had, all the story when he grew up. And we talked a lot about his Italian origins, and he was asking me things because he was curious. Because sometimes things, not even his parents would tell him things, and so we had, many conversations and a good bond with him. I mean, in Stockholm, I remember well. I even went to the pool with him and Eric Carr, Gary Corbett.
Yeah.
I was like, Gary, I was close to Gary because he wasn't in the band, so I was very friendly with him. Finally, with the internet and Facebook, I got to see him again and chat with him. And so many good friends that you can get in touch again with the internet. And so Gary said, "Oh, let's go for a swim." And I'm like, "Oh, sure, you want to go for a swim? But in the lobby, you can see Paul, Jim coming, no, there's Eric having a swim with me. So, I'm coming, okay." I couldn't believe, being in the same swimming pool with Eric Carr. Amazing. So anyway, isn't that the only thing that, there is no nice note, it was on the Hot in the Shade, because the Crazy Nights tour was great because I got to see him, I got to get friends with him, and he started also. I found it strange that he was telling me go to Paul and Gene and push them for a solo, because I was asking him how come there is no drum solo, like in England they cut the drum solo, and I said, Eric, that was a great part of the show, you're not doing the solo anymore, please do the solo. At the time I thought he would decide, I play the solo or I don't play the solo. I was naive. He was like, it's not me, I love to play the solo, but Jim don't want me to do it. Go tell them, because if you tell them, maybe they let me play it again. And I remember that once I heard that, I was telling all the Kiss fans, go, where's Paul and Gene? What about the drum solo? What about the drum solo? And so then I think at one point they started to do it again. In fact, in Newcastle, they did the drum solo again. And so basically, they didn't let him do what he wanted to do. And that was the feel. And that getting to know him, getting to have conversation more in depth, he is telling me that, I'm just here, I got to do what they tell me. It's not that I'm a band member like Peter, was, because I thought, okay, it's a new member. It's the same rules they share. I didn't even know that he was paid like a normal paycheck.
No.
I thought, hey, it's a new member. He's sharing with the others. I didn't know about money much. You see, I didn't know all this business work. I thought he was a new member, and so then I found that. And then when I went in America, I found him even worse. And at one point we had a really good conversation. He was telling me, I'm not talking to Paul. I'm not happy with the band. And I was like, well, what's the problem? I'm if I could do if I could be a drummer in another band as famous as Kiss, I would just leave the band tomorrow. And I was like, that really felt bad, because then I realized how serious was the situation with Paul and Eric, and that they wouldn't talk. Because as soon as I reached America, somebody was telling me, "Oh, Paul and Eric they're not talking to each other." And then I went to ask Eric what up, and so he was frustrated because he wanted to do a lot of things, and a lot of he cared about trying to get the band big, trying to get the fans more involved, because also he was a fan of the band as well. I mean, like if I joined the band, I was meet and greet, let's do this, let's take a big stage. Don't care how much it costs. I want to do the best. For me, if I was in a band, in a way, all the money would just go to make a bigger stage. I don't care if I get the money back from the ticket. But so he was naive too in that way in the band, and Paul and Gene were trying to stop him, because it's like, it's not your band, do as we like. And he didn't like it, because everything he was suggesting, they were always kind of calm him down. Yeah. So then he didn't feel like too much being in a band. They didn't really let him be a member. He was a drummer, but not like a real member. Yeah. And that's why when I say, you have a new drummer, you should share before with Peter, now you share with Eric. Because if you don't give them, you have 2 millionaires in the band, or 2 rich, and 2 who just get paid a little more than the roadie. And well, then how can you expect him to have the same car or same clothes or same lifestyle as you? And if there's 2 different lifestyles, then these things will show. And so all this was like, there were 3 original members and a drummer. It wasn't 4. So, and he didn't feel comfortable in that situation. And reading from Paul, they said, we tried to, but he preferred to stay more with the fans and with the band. Probably, but from his point of view, he came more from a fan point, environment than a rich people environment. Because Paul and Gene, they were already millionaires before Eric showed up, and even if they were not rich by the time he showed up, they were almost millionaires. And so it felt bad. So when after that, then I heard that he was sick. So I left the tour, the Out in the Shade tour 1990, with this bitter taste with Eric, because I felt like, we already lost Peter because disagreement. Now, we might have to lose Eric. Yeah. And then Paul also did the
solo tour.
He did the solo tour the year before. Yeah. And there was another thing that upset Eric, because it felt like Paul was looking for somebody else. And so the fact of saying, I'll do audition for my own band, well, if you know that you're in a good relationship, you also know that if you find somebody who really get along well with him, it won't take long until you get substitute. So I feel that Eric was right by being afraid of that. And so that put more and more problem with it. So as I say, when I left from the Out in the Shade, it didn't feel that good, the situation. No. Then when I heard he was sick, I was like, now, you're making it even easier for the band to say goodbye. Yeah. Because, so, I don't know. We won't know how much is that band wanted to go on, no waiting for him because the band need to go on, or as much, that's an opportunity to fire him without having to fire him. So that period was a bit like that, but I wasn't close to the band to have my personal conversation with Eric to hear how he was feeling in the sickness time. So I cannot tell you much more than what you you probably went the same ways.
Yeah.
You made this one.
That was love.
Yeah.
That was. Yeah.
Tell us about this special magazine. How did you put it together?
That is special in every way. That is my the magazine I love the most. It was done with the art. I spent double the time to do that magazine than normally every other issue. I was spending a lot of time to try to collect all possible things, information on him, and I spent a huge amount of time on trying to get that magazine perfect. I want it to be like a gift from me for what it was, and I remember it was tough to do, and I still feel it's the best strike. And unfortunately, it's the first one who was sold out right away.
Yeah.
Wow.
For them, I still got 1,000 copies of.
Yeah.
And just went, and I felt bad because I wanted to keep it more, so then I could sell to people who would buy back issues of the new members who couldn't get it at the time. And unfortunately, whoever's got it's got it. The other, cannot get it anymore. But I really love the magazine. I remember, I would collect all the clippings from all the world for if I go through it, that one right here. I don't know. I just felt when I wrote this magazine, it was really very emotional period. And as I said, I spent double the time. I wanted to make sure that everything was perfect and that I just didn't miss anything. There was the strike I love the most. Probably not the best in many other ways, but definitely the more I felt, So, yeah.
But it must have been really strange because you went from something really sad like that to a period that was really magical. It's like you're going from Eric Carr dying, that is really sad, and then you're going into the revenge period. That must have been really magical for you.
Revenge was, the second best, probably, let's say.
Yeah.
And besides the 88. Well, I'm a character that I care a lot, but I also, when things are done and you cannot do much about it, there's nothing. It's I do what I can when I can. Like he died, the best I could do is to write the best strike I could for him. Once I did that, there was nothing else that I could do. So for me, it's a closed chapter.
Yeah.
That sounds strange, but unfortunately, it happened to me again with my wife, and she passed away, and I had a bad period right after, and but life it's full of good and bad things, and you cannot let the good or the bad things affect you for the rest of the life.
No.
Otherwise, if you have a very sad things happening, like Eric dying or my wife, then you're sad for the rest of your life. I think you gotta close that as a sad period, when you go think about it, you get in a sad mood. But it's a closed chapter.
Yeah.
You got to do it to survive, to to go on. I mean, the band.
You have to move forward.
Exactly. With my wife, I had a kid, and I didn't want him to see me sad. He had to see me always cheerful because I wanted to communicate that to him.
Yeah.
And with the band, I mean, I couldn't revive Eric. He's dead.
Yeah.
And what I do, all I could do is still celebrate the new band, the new lineup. And it's not that going to Eric Singer and go like, oh, yeah, but you're not Eric Carr. It was stupid. I mean, even, I like it. I like him as much. And he's a great friend. In a different way, it's probably my favorite friend member because I feel that we've got the same attitude. He's a troublemaker. He makes all his jokes. With Eric, I get along the best, even better than Gene and Eric Carr, because he's actually close to me as a character, as a way of approaching life. So Eric Singer is fantastic. But even if he wasn't like that, and if I maybe didn't like him as a member of the band or playing or whatever, there's no way that I could go in and say, oh, but you're not Eric Carr, or It's like my favorite member is Peter Criss. even if I love Eric. I love both the Erics.
Yeah.
But my favorite drummer is Peter Criss.
Yeah.
And I love him as well as a character, even though he's very moody. But you go from a lot of weight in 10 minutes time. I mean, he turns around and he goes, you bastard, you steal my photo. And then an hour after, he's throwing your towel during bed. It happened in Chicago. I saw him in the lobby. So, oh, you're selling my photos without permission. You're making a lot of money off me. I thought he was joking. I was like, hey, okay. Then I realized it was Gene with me. And I was like, and Gene looked at me, I was like, I don't know, what can I do? Sorry. And he was really upset with me. You could see he was genuinely upset with me. At the show, I was like, okay, I'll try to stay away from him. I got him upset. I tried to calm down. When he comes back, he look at me, he waves, the big smile, gets the towel, he throw it to me. I was like, hey, wasn't I the one that I was stealing your money? So Peter, is like that. And you got to learn that, he's unpredictable. But bottom line, he's a fantastic person.
Yeah.
He's, it's, you got to see people from the general view. Even Paul Stanley is a great guy. I mean, I say bad things about him, not meeting the fans and stuff. But the bottom line is, I love the way he's got his way of dealing with people. But he definitely cares a lot, and he puts a lot of effort in things, and he really genuinely cares about people. His fact that he wouldn't, be close, it's because of his growing up with this ear problem.
Yeah.
And they cannot blame him from that. Actually, poor guy. Sorry, Paul. And but Paul is a fantastic guy. Paul is. They're all great. They're all great. Even Ace. I love Ace. He's got his problems with alcohol, things. He might have done some really bad things. But really, the 4 guys, but even the 10 guys, all of them, they're all fantastic guys. The only thing I could say something not so nice about is Vinny. But, I'm not saying anything new to anybody. Somebody who takes advantage of the fans, rip them off, really sneaky, dodgy. Well, I love him as a character in the band. He's probably I would say, the best substitute member. But as a person, it's probably the worst. It's the worst, definitely, because on stage he's got a strong personality, and he shows, and he came and instead of playing Ace, he played Vinnie Vincent. He was his own personality, and strong personality too, even too strong, but better more than less in their way. Eric was a bit shy, Eric Carr, when he joined, and he was a bit on the side. Vinny, right, I'm Vinny Vincent, I'm the best. And anyway, I like that because I like every single member of Kiss being a strong person.
Yeah.
And Peter Criss was full of attitude. Ace, way, it's the best. And Gene, Paul, they were all strong on his own. They could make a band on his own. Like when there is a frontman and the rest of the band is unknown, each of them could make their own band and be a leader.
Yeah.
And so it was fantastic to see Vinny coming and be as strong as them, even if he was nobody, he was poor, and he had no reason to compare himself to the gods. But he did, and I thought he was fantastic. It was somebody else to say, I admire you, But then when you hear the stories of the bad things somebody does in purpose, X could have done something bad, Peter too, drug things. You can fight between members and steal money, do things, but when you do things really in purpose bad, there's no excuse there, and that's your character. And if you like that, I can admire you as much as you want as a guitarist and as a band member, but I cannot admire you as a person. And he's the only one, probably, for sure. Mark, I only got to meet him once. I interviewed him once, so I don't really know the guy. I cannot say things about him. But the only time I met him, it was very nice. From once you meet somebody, you cannot really make an opinion, because the first time I met Vinny, he was fantastic. He was all charming. So if I had to judge for the first time I saw Vinny, I would have said it was fantastic.
Yeah.
So, judge Mark, because I only saw once, and he was nice.
Yeah.
Which year?
Vinny, we have enough information to know who he is. So now he's back. Well, good on him.
Yeah.
I'm now spending my money to go see him. I might spend.
Which year?
You go for it.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll spend my. If I spend some money on Vinny, I'll buy some Vinny material, some Vinny video, photo of him in makeup, some merchandise on him. So I'll spend them on his character, on his on his stage, but not as a person. To meet him like, oh, I want to shake your hand. I might squeeze it, but no.
But
no, I mean, and even do something bad about me. I mean, with me, he was always nice, but he did it to Gerard and other friends that I know, to Alex. I heard story from personal friends that he had, and that's good enough for me to lose respect for a person. Yeah. Oh, you want to know one thing about Vinny that it's funny?
No, I think we're going to talk a little bit more about that later in the story. We're going to talk more about Vinny and everything.
Oh, we can finish with a little thing, so then it's better we save time for better persons.
Yeah, but I think we're.
Okay.
I think we'll do another. If you want to come back, we'll do another episode. Also, we're not quitting right now, but it's like. But,
I know, but I can only say one sentence. At least close the chapter for now. It's once we finish the tour.
Yeah. He
wrote and say, "Can you send me the article before you go to print? I want to edit. I want to make sure you write the nice things." And I answered back, "I'm gonna write what I saw on first time. I'm not gonna write what you like. If you're not gonna like it, well, that's what you did. Change your." And that was the last time I was in touch with Vinny. But you're a member of Kiss, but I'm not gonna cover you for your, making you look like a nice person if you're not. Be the nice person, then I'll talk about it.
Yeah.
Close Vinny. Everybody.
But going back again, I think in Strike, the things, what I really envied you most about is when you had Kiss in Rome and when you organized the meet and greet in '92.
Okay, it wasn't in Rome actually.
It wasn't in Rome, but it was in Italy.
It was in Tuscany.
Tuscany.
It
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, actually, it's right behind me where I am. It's there.
Yeah.
Where I'm
Yeah.
pointing with the finger. That's when I.
What was the yeah.
It was a revenge tour, and you remember in Europe they only did the UK tour.
Yeah.
And so that tour was great because I went to the States and I saw Peter, with the band Chris.
Yeah.
And I saw Kiss, doing the club tour. And then I flew straight from New York to England, to London, to see the actual tour. And after that tour in England, they didn't tour the rest of Europe, but they went to different countries just to do TV appearance to push the album. Mm-hmm. And in Tuscany, we had a video music TV station. There was only music, a bit like MTV, but it was Italian. It was good. Mm-hmm. And so they were invited there. And they were based in Tuscany, up on a hill. They had a nice cottage where they had the studio. It was cool. And they were based in Pisa as a hotel before going there. And so I wanted to organize another meeting with the band because I did something in '88, but only Eric and Bruce showed up, and Paul and Jean didn't. So next time I say, well, they're again in Italy, I must do something. Now I'm also a bigger fan club. I have more power. The most I have, the more time, power, money, it's all going for doing better things.
Yeah.
So then I thought I could do more. I could also knew how it was working everything with the managers, planning things. So I actually tried to organize a meet and greet with the members of the fan club. And they say, yeah, that's a good idea. We'll set it up. We'll figure it out. We'll let you know. I kept pushing. Okay, so when it's gonna happen? Yeah, well, yeah, we have to talk to Paul, but we'll let you know. Not enough. At one point, at the time was date was getting closer. I told everybody, that they're staying at this hotel. Or actually, I told them, I don't know yet, but when I figure out the hotel, call me the day before, and I'll tell you where they are. So then everybody who wanted could call me and say, oh, where are they staying? And I'll say, oh, I don't remember the hotel name, but it was in Pisa. And I told everybody, say, look, they didn't confirm me any meeting, but let's go there. I believe in things that, they shape themselves up once you get started. And so I got everybody there. And everybody was outside the hotel. And there was a big crowd, probably I would say 50 people. For Sweden, it's probably a little number, normal. But in Italy, it was a big crowd outside the hotel. So then Kiss was like, why, how come all these people? I said, well, I told them that there's going to be the meet and greet. Now we organize the time. Yeah, but the band don't know if they want to do it. And you told me that they were gonna do it. So in the meantime, I told the people to come, and then the final arrangement we'll get with the people here. So well, and the manager didn't look too happy. Then at one point, every time they were trying, they couldn't even go out because every time once was trying to go out, everybody was asking autographs and stuff.
Yeah.
And so at one point, the manager called me and said, look, why don't we do one thing? We'll do one autograph for everybody in a place in the hotel, and then promise me that everybody will leave. And I say, oh, well, if that's a deal, fantastic. I'll just make sure I tell everybody to leave. If you organize this, that'll be the best thing. and not just a team meeting when they come in and out. It will be a proper meeting, officially organized. I was so proud of being able to do something like that. And see, it was all problems for me, but I was so happy to do it. I had to get the band upset, the people organized for nothing. There was no ticket to be paid. It was just free.
Yeah.
I was just losing time and efforts, but I was very happy to be able to arrive to a point where I was telling the band, you know, you do this for the members of my club. Fantastic. And so basically they allow me for like an hour or two in a bar. They were staying behind the bar. In fact, if you see the photo, they are standing behind the bar of the hotel.
Yeah.
And so they were just behind the bar with bottles behind them and stuff. And people would just go on a line, and I would control the line to get everything, one thing signed. So I told everybody, one piece each. Let's make it nice and sweet. They're nice enough to, you know, give us this chance. Let's not blow it. You know, let's do the right way.
Yeah.
So then it was fantastic because everybody got their own thing. It was an official meeting organized. And when it finished, I told everybody, now, please, you know, if this you won't happen again, you know, you want it to happen again, you just got to, you know, do as you promised. Just leave, go, don't show up again.
Yeah.
And I was making sure when I was outside the hotel that if somebody would try to come back, I was like, go away, go away. We promised. They did what they did. They did what they said they were going to do. You know, we got to keep our word as well. And that was fantastic. There was a great memory. Because you see, it's like you go from being nobody in Rome and you just end up making dreams come true for other people. I mean, somebody might mean not much, but for us that are we great Kiss fan, having the chance to really spend some time. It's like now the meet and greet.
Yeah.
But at the time there was no such thing as meet and greet, so being able to, you know, meet them was a special thing. So I was so happy. I mean, everything that I've done with the fan club was always to share the experience of Kiss with as many people I could. So every time I would go back from a tour, I would just write the story in a way. I didn't want to write as a magazine. The magazines got always the look from the point of view. I'm a journalist. I'm a critic. I tell you if it's good, if it's not. I'm the one who can judge if you're okay, if you're not. I was like a friend talking to another friend. When I was writing, in my mind, I was thinking, I'm writing a letter to a friend. That's the way I was approaching the articles when I was writing, because I like the personal connection. People would read like if he was talking, somebody was telling him what happened. It's the same way when I was asking people in America, oh, what happened, the show, how was the show? Oh, they came, you know, some tours I had to call after the show.
Yeah.
Like a revenge. I remember I called John Marshall and he told me the Detroit show I went, and he was telling me, oh, they said there is this thing as a stage, because at the beginning you don't even know how it's going to be looking at the time. And so I remember the way the people was telling me things and the excitement. And I want to try to keep that excitement in the article. So I was always writing this, try to make feel every fan like not that he was there, but a friend of his was there and he was telling him what happened, which is a personal way of. So the article had always had that enthusiasm, because it was my enthusiasm, because telling, oh, I saw Gene doing this. It wasn't just to make it big for the article. It was the way I felt, and I tried to pass it that way. And then everything I could do to, even the merchandise. I was going to America to the Kiss convention and collect magazine, Kiss special magazine and other collectible that in Europe were very hard to find, very, very hard. A lot of things that was impossible to find. So I would go there, invest my money and sell, of course, making a profit too. But besides the profit, it's the fact that I was able to get something that it was impossible to get otherwise.
Yeah.
And and always the profit will mean only that the next time I will go to another convention, instead of having $1,000 to buy, I would have $2,000 to buy in merchandise. So it was more that the more I could get to invest, because I didn't have like a bank that would go, oh, I need you borrow me $10,000 because I need to go. It was always my money. They were growing little by little by having more members, by selling more merchandise. So all the growing was very gradual and very slow, and I could speed up just by every income I would make. I would reinvest on the fan club, because also when I said before that I was working 7 days a week, 15 hours a day. That wasn't just the beginning. That was all through the time.
Yeah.
I was always, for 20 years, I worked like that. And doing that, you don't even have the time to spend the money in case you make so there was no way I could spend the money, even if I wanted, because I didn't have time. The only time it started getting out was when I met my wife. And that's when I slowed down a little bit.
Yeah.
It's private life as well.
But in this place, it's like now we've spoken for about 2 hours, and I think this is a great opportunity compared to your history. It's a great way to stop for the first episode, and I would really like to come back and record the rest of your history for another.
Just a teaser.
Because we have a long way to go. So
There's so many things I did, and it's nice for something to go really in deep. I'll just give a little bit so that people will look forward till the next show. Is that when I did the first ever and only CD-ROM about the band, Kiss Bible, you probably remember. I did one in '95, I think it was. There was a big bad story with Gene. You'll have to connect
next time.
A long one, and it's so funny. And I got so in trouble. But it's a story for the next time. And I thank you guys.
And it's like you have to be on this. We end every episode with let's song. Keep on kissing!
kissing.
Audio Jungle.